everyone. Welcome to another episode of our roundtable sessions. Today, we are here to talk about art and music. Our guests today are Brooke Blackburn of Blackburn Brothers and Bentley Collective, Franny Wisp and her washboard. We have Drew McIver, who, the list of what he is part of is endless and very long, too long to name, but there are two honorable mentions, which are Bruce Wine Bar Open Mic Session and the Sun and the Moon Duo. Thanks for being here, everybody.
Hello.
My name is Sarah Filion. I have the Matilda Swanson Art Gallery located in Clarksburg, Ontario. Music plays such an important role in my life. I need music like I need food, like I need sleep. When I moved here, I jumped on the opportunity to help Linda Wykes with Jazz by the Bay, which is now called Music in the Park, and bringing more arts and live music to the Morris Street Center and Clarksburg, and often combining both music and visual arts during special events. As a founding member of the and current president of the Clarksburg Village Association, our mandate is to keep our community vibrant. And one of those ways is through live music, with many of you having participated in these Clarksburg and Morris Street Center events. So Brooke Blackburn, let's hear from you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your musical endeavors.
I'm a guitar player, singer. I play with my brothers called the Blackburn Brothers. We're a touring original band in the blues world, basically, but we're kind of a funky soul kind of project. I also have a separate project of my own called the Bentley Collective, which is my middle name, and it's songs that aren't exactly in the Blackburn groove, and they're more like, I'd say, soul or soul folk in that kind of Bill Withers type of stuff. So I've been doing that for a while, and that's my own original project, which I like to do pure original music. And then the Blackburn Brothers, we were touring pretty well across Canada and the U.S. I just came back from a tour with a girl named Shakura Saida. The U.S. went from, where did we start? In Alabama, I think Alabama, down to New Orleans, and then back up to Memphis. Did about four cities, and then all this went down. So that was in January, I think, pretty well is when we got back. And then so then I've been in my house recording and putting stuff with those multiple screens with my friends. You know what I mean? Doing a bunch of that and writing music at home, basically. That's me.
Thanks, Brooke. Franny Wisp.
Hi. So I have an interesting show. So it's basically musical comedy with a feminist and political satire twist. And so that keeps me busy in terms of my observances of society and how people perceive the world, and in turn, how I perceive the world. That's it.
Drew McIver.
Hi, I'm Drew, and I live in the Queens Valley, in the Walters Falls area on South Georgian Bay, not too far from Franny over there. And I'm a musician wearing many different hats on different days. I'm a singer-songwriter, and that's probably the hat that I'm wearing the most these days. But I love to arrange music and get involved in all kinds of projects, anything from playing the piano in a mambo band to writing music for theater on the Bay. The Shakespearean Theater in Collingwood invited me to put music in place, which is pretty cool. And I play in a number of bands, and I like to produce and record and arrange. And I'm also the host over at the Bruce Wine Bar in Thornbury, which is kind of an acoustic, original forum, a bit more like kind of your 70s sort of, music cafe kind of vibe. So that's on Wednesday nights if anybody wants to come out when the Corona is finished.
Thanks, guys. I'm going to open the floor here with the topic of our conversation today, which is art and music, the art of music. What comes to mind?
I'll jump in. in terms of art and music and sort of that intersection of things. Again, art period, like whether you are talking about visual art or sculpture or music or dance or theater, anything like that, in my experience, or I guess my appreciation of all those things, comes from an individual or a group of people trying to communicate something of importance, or something of beauty, or something of soul, or something of death, or something that's really going to hopefully have like a moment for somebody in the audience where it can create an epiphany of sorts. So, and that can be done obviously through my lens, which is primarily humor and self-deprecation, or it can be something joyful, or it can be something really deep and soulful. So that's how I kind of see how that intersection works.
I think I might be a little bit on the other side of the same coin in that respect. I'm less inclined to be a satirist or a political commentator on sort of things, but I approach it as a songwriter from my own experience and the way that things revolve, and the way that it comes out of me, and everything always comes out of me musically. And then in that regard, it's more of the vision of the storyteller, and it gives an opportunity for the audience to hear my story, and then hopefully with any luck to have it resonate back with them, because they're all universal kind of themes that we all go through. So
Brooke?
Cool. For me, I grew up. I was born in early '60s, so my family, they're basically old hippies back in the day, and so we were one of the only families in music at that time that had a house that actually we owned. So at that time in the 60s and the 70s, a lot of people that came off from the Vietnam War, that came into Canada as conscientious objectors, stayed at our house. So they could be artists, they could be musicians, they could be like yogis. We had so many people stay at our house because we had a big house. And so I just grew up with all these different aspects of artists, hanging out the house, smoking weed, you know what I mean, doing whatever back in the day, and staying up, all night and listen to their stories. So, and a lot of them were, ex-American patriots, so to speak, you know what I mean, doing kind of that they just didn't want to die in the war, so they came to Toronto, and yeah, I grew up with it. They used to have this thing on Yonge Street when I was a kid. They used to shut down Yonge Street, and they started doing it a few years back, but in the 60s they used to do that, and there was artists all up and down Yonge Street, basically from maybe Queen or King all the way up to probably Gerrard, just north of Gerrard, maybe around College. And there was art up and down, so we used to go. My father used to play at a place called Zanzibar Tavern back in the day, so we used to have live entertainment, backing dancers, and back in the day was burlesque. And so we used to always, I'd hung around in Yonge Street all my life, every weekend, because my mother was working. I'd hang with my dad, so we'd go up and down Yonge Street and check out the art, and there was so much going on, throughout my life. So that's about it.
wow.
Yeah, rich story.
I want to change my answer.
I mean, that's kind of what I absolutely love about art, about music. When I think of music, I think art is everything that's creation, in my mind. And what I absolutely love about art and music is that it is the universal language, and it has the power to transcend social and political boundaries. Art and music know no boundaries. There's a beautiful quote here. Music is the art of sounds in the movement of time. And that's gorgeous. And another one, music and the arts make a bridge across this world in ways that nothing else can. And your story just now, Brooke, it sort of epitomizes that, having a household of anyone and everyone all getting together and creating.
Yeah. I mean, literally. I mean, like all these people came by our house that were touring musicians, or like I say, getting away from the war or whatever, or artists. And like I was gonna say, I don't know if you guys can see this painting behind me. I've
Yeah.
known this painting since I was a kid. Okay, since I could remember, and that's a painting of West Montgomery. And this artist that was down and out back in the day, you know what I mean, on drugs or whatever, back in the '60s, sold this to my father, and he had a place upstairs to Zanzibar, and I've known it all my life, and it had a frame that is like just disintegrated over the last 40 years or 50 years. And then I finally got it put up on my wall, a few years back. But this has gone through fires. This has gone through everything. This painting, and I've always loved it, and I've always wanted it, and now it's in my place in Parkdale in Toronto. But it's just our family. It's all just hooked with artists, always. That was a long time ago. That was a long time,
If you know where I can.
but it was a long time ago.
Amazing. So can you talk about your creative process? And I'd also love to hear about the performing aspect as well, because experiencing the audience's live reactions as visual artists don't often have that opportunity. And Brenna, if you can tap onto, because you're also a sculptor,
Yeah.
and maybe compare the two processes, or are they the same? I'd love to hear about that.
Oh, big question. Such a big question. Yeah, because sculpture and performance are, for me, really different worlds. Like sculpturing is such an internal experience. So I'll go into my studio. I'm completely alone with my muse, and it's a very peaceful and contemplative experience, and it's very about me and that piece of wood or whatever medium I'm working in. When I'm on stage, it's an entirely different experience, clearly, because now there's all these people looking at me and having a pretty big expectation of me. Namely, you better make me laugh. You better entertain me. So sometimes it's quite challenging for me as that type of artist, because I have to remind myself that I can't get hooked into that expectation, that I have to sort of move beyond the expectation and into the idea of not taking myself or the situation that seriously. None of it is actually that important. If people have a laugh, yay. If they're grumpy and don't want to have a laugh, oh well. And the fact is, I have no control. The only control I have is, again, internally. So if I can connect with my muse before a show and make that sort of contract with my muse and myself to say, I'm going out there to do the best I can do. And hopefully there'll be a lovely endpoint to it. But yeah, they're completely different experiences, because then if I have an art show and I put a sculpture in the room, my only interaction with my now audience, people coming into a gallery, is a very kind of awkward, silent observing of the piece. And I'm having to fill in a bunch of blanks to fill in the story, going, I think they liked it, or they looked really stern, or they giggled at it, or what does that mean? Whereas with the comedy, it's very clear, if people are not laughing, it's not going that well. So that's it. That's sort of it in terms of my comparison.
Yeah, I'll jump in.
Go ahead, Drew.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm coming at it from a different kind of angle. I don't know if I'm selfish as a songwriter. I find that ultimately the process is cathartic, and whatever is kind of going on inside of me, and sometimes it's so deep down inside that I probably might not even be able to put a label on it through dialogue or through a mood, but magically it comes out in songwriting. And I just listen to that voice, and it's almost like this. It's not like I'm telling the story, but it's almost like I'm just following another story that's taking place. and in a way that the songs kind of write themselves. And then a month later, when I can look back at it a bit more objectively, I see myself in that song. But when I'm in the midst of the creative process, the writing process, I may think to myself, I'm writing a character, or I'm writing about this or that. But ultimately, the nights that are amiss are the nights when I'm not representing as truly as being myself, and it just kind of comes. It might as well be a jukebox, or it might as well be a cover band, because I'm not representing. And the nights that I'm in the zone and I'm just me, uh, anything, and the audience is so much more this beautiful window that opens up, and it's a two-way.
We lost you for a bit there, Drew.
Shit! Oh, I said some really deep stuff, man. Shoot! Damn!
Can you repeat the last 30 seconds?
The last 30 seconds, eh?
Yeah.
I was saying that when I'm performing, when I'm out performing, ultimately it's a conversation, and if I show up as me, then that conversation goes really well. The audience has got something; they've got something to bite onto. It's not just a two-dimensional sort of performance, but you're getting a piece of me, and that's why, as an artist, you see people walking off the stage covered in sweat or exhausted, or they need to have a triple, whiskey. It's because they've laid it all out there, and that's we all know the difference between a show and when you say, oh my God, like that was incredible. It's not necessarily the arrangement of chords and the melody that's incredible. It's the artist presenting themselves as a human being that blows everybody's mind.
I agree 100%. 100% what you're saying, because when you write song, it's easy. It's pretty easy to go back to the time when you wrote the song or whatever you're writing the song about. Because me, I write songs about my experiences in life. So it's easier for me to do that. And if I'm asked to write about a certain theme, then I could do that too. But it takes me every time I do a song, whether I'm playing with my brothers or whether I'm playing by myself as a single or whether I'm with another band, when I do original music, it just takes me back to exactly why I wrote that song, whom I wrote that song about, and it's just always been that way. And writing, for me, inspirational themes is that I grew up in a house with musicians. So all my brothers are musicians. My father's a musician. So we had pianos, bass guitars, electric guitars, acoustic, well, not so much acoustic guitars, but electric. Everything was kind of electric. Fender Rhodes, B3 organ, everything laying around the house. So I've been through this experience of this locked into my house. I have a piano back there, and I have my bass up on the wall, and my electric guitars, and my acoustic, and my computer. So I've been messing around on trying to get better on piano and better on bass and guitar. And so I get a riff, and then I've been writing songs from those riffs, whether it's from the bass. I wrote one on bass. I wrote one for piano, and I wrote a couple of them on guitar. And it's just, and ideas up in my head from what's going on, from people passing away, like Bill Withers, you know what I mean? So I wrote this tune with the way he does kind of a D7. It's like, just wrote it from that. And I watch him play it, He wasn't touted as a great guitar player, but he had groove. His natural groove is so heavy. So I wrote a song kind of with that concept. And it's just the way it is, the way the world is, it just gives you ideas all the time. And you either do something with them or watch friggin' Netflix. I'd rather do something musically than watch Netflix.
Yep. Great conversation, guys. I believe that the arts play a vital role in creating community. Having worked with all of you in some shape or form, I know how important community is to all of you as well, and ensuring that live music is accessible to everyone. Can you talk a little bit more about that and why it is important to create community through music and art?
Yeah. Well, I just to elaborate on that, my friends are my community, my life. I play with my brothers. They're like my best friends. You know what I mean? So music is everything in my community. And being in Toronto, and it's a big city, but it's just not a huge community. It's a pretty tight community. And playing in Toronto for last 45 years, you know what I mean? Playing in Toronto, playing live since I was 14, 15. you meet a lot of people, and like that's what I miss more than anything is the community of music. And hooking up with you was really cool because I love North, and my parents live pretty just about an hour and a half north of you. So on my way, it's so cool to drop into around that Collingwood Clarksburg area and get to play music, you know, on my way. Usually it's on the way there or on the way back, you get to stop in and hang out with Clark. But it's cool to hang out with artists. You guys are cool people, you know, fine artists.
I think, you know, visual, I was thinking about this the other day. Musicians are the cool, suave, groovy type of artists, right? And the sculptors, the potters, the more hands-on, they're very tactile, very practical type of artists, type of creatives. And then you have the visual artists that are just a little wonky, a little weird. Well, probably I think the weirdest of the group. And then you have the writers who are just so deep. You feel everything so deep. And I just find that an interesting comparison and how we all kind of complement each other, and we all sort of cling to each other as a community of creatives. And doing these talks for me, for the music talk, I felt that it was important to tap into that community who has supported me and my community endeavors, and each and every one of you have. You know, Fran, we did that. Clarksburg has Heart the Epres Heart with Fran US. That was a great night. And you know, Brooke, we've done a lot of Artsburgs together, and the music in the parks as well.
Jazz by the Bay or the music in the park.
Yeah. So it was just important for me to, you know, tap into that community for these kinds of discussions.
Yeah, no, I would like to respond to the community piece. Live is everything for me. Everything. It always has been. There's nothing more magical than also being a part of the audience, like an audience member, and bearing witness to somebody revealing their soul and their heart and their innermost secrets, or their joy or their laughter, whatever it is. I just feel like I'm in such an incredible space, and it's just, I feel honored to bear witness. And because I can't get that through a TV screen, and I can't get that through a device, and I can't get that. I mean, I can start to get it through a novel, right, or a piece of art. But when you actually have a living, breathing person right in front of you doing that, I'm so deeply moved, and there is nothing more deeply moving for me. And then on top of that, so there's just me bearing witness, but then when I have my friends and my community also sitting there with me, and all of a sudden it's become this communal experience, right, where all of us together are feeling at the same time this experience. I find that really transcendental, and it's super inspiring. Yeah, so I think that's why the community of it is like critical, and especially during this time where we're like addicted to this thing. Yeah.
All being present in the same space together, right? During that, if it's an hour and a half, and then we all leave, and you know, reality starts thinking back in, but we're all present together and sharing in that energy. It is very transcendental. It's a beautiful thing, and I don't know any other way of replicating that.
I don't think there is.
yeah, it's really special. Drew, how about you?
Well, I'm just thinking about kind of the aspect of living in a bit of a small town too, because I was just saying this the other day when I first showed up in Meaford. I went to some sort of field party, and you know, I was used to living in a suburban place where you God forbid you ever hang out with anybody 2 years older and or younger than you, because it's not cool. And then I showed up in Meaford, and I went to some bush party or something like that, and I was like, who's that guy over there? And they're like, that's Frank's dad, man. This is his place. And he's like, you know, there's a lack of ageism when you live in a smaller town. Maybe that's the kind of thing. And I'm over at I host an open stage at the Bruce Wine Bar, which is open to all ages. Sometimes there's 12-year-olds that get up on the stage, and sometimes there's 82-year-olds that get up. A lot of fathers and daughters, or mothers and sons, or brothers get up and play, and it's just so tasty and so nourishing and so soulful. And like you say, where music, there's not a lot of other things that can kind of hit that realm. The more, yeah, sorry, turn right, yeah. Thanks. The more that you dig into it, the more that you dig into music. We're used to it because we're artists and we're musicians, so we give it 100%. But for folks, sometimes they maybe go to a couple of music festivals a year, and it takes until 8 p.m. on the main stage before they really pay attention, and then they're mesmerized because they're giving it 100% of their attention. So it's just really nice to be able to break down the kind of any sort of barriers, whether it's age or styles of music, and just have the dialogue. You can have the dialogue. You can have a musical dialogue with anybody, anywhere, anytime. And that's exciting.
How have you adapted during this time of COVID-19, since concerts, live music venues have been shut down and the future at this point remains uncertain? I know for me, I'm okay with what's going on right now because as a creative person, I'm still just in my own world, my own imagination. But I thought, oh, what is a summer without live music going to be? And that really grabbed me. Like, how am I going to nourish my soul without live music?
I haven't adapted. I'm not good with what's taking place right now.
Me neither.
I've been riding it out. I've been making my Facebook videos at the piano and goofing around and trying to have some fun and keep it light. And it's been great for some creative outlets of sort of solo multi-tracking or this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I can kind of, but I realized that, and I've been songwriting and working, and there are some outlets, but the other day, just before I went online to do something, there was a note on the Facebook that said that Hillside Music Festival, in line with all the other artistic directors of the major festivals, was canceling this year's show, or this year's weekend music festival. And then I cried, and I felt really ill and really sad it really hit me for the first time. It hit me where it hurt, you know what I mean? Like thousands of people gathering to celebrate
Mm-hmm.
music or celebrate through music for 3 days, and then you sleep all day Monday, and then you do your laundry, and then on Thursday you repack, and then you go to the next one. So I don't even know, man. I don't know what to say. I'm not sure how it's going to work out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the fate of musicians, I don't know. That thought terrifies me. Brooke, you've been
I've been
busy on social media.
been trying to, because like coming from Toronto, like you gotta stay out there in any means possible, because if you don't, you're not gonna have a gig when this goes down, after this is finished. So I mean, I play a lot of places in Toronto, and I do, like, I'm doing a multi-screen video now for a club that hopefully will be there when all this is over. So we're trying to keep people out there and let them know that this club is still in existence, and this is the kind of stuff. And I play live here, track it, and I do a thing on my phone, and then I send the video in and track at the same time, and then we put together these multi-screen videos. And I've done a couple. I've done 2 of my own. I'm going to do 2 more before I think we get back into it. And they're just songs that I've written from my house here, and it's been really cool. And what's good about it is that it's I think it's getting to people that I haven't really got to, or into the sense that they wouldn't really show up to gig very often. Like, I play a lot of places around here, and you get 30, 40 people, and you got yourself a crowd, but and then I put up a multi-screen video, a song called Heroes that I wrote about senior citizens, because that's where where I learned how to play music was from people who are senior citizens now. And I wrote that about them, and I've got like 850 hits or something like that on YouTube. And that's 850 people that, trust me, don't come to my gigs in Toronto. You know what I mean? And now I get them here. And then I did another one called If I Get to Heaven. And I think it's about 200 hits, which is good, you know, like, and I'm not a guy about hits. I'm not a guy about anything like that. I just want to play. And I started doing this Instagram live. That's what I started, like a couple days in. And ever since then, people really say it's really helped them. It's helped them to see live music. It's helped them, you know, to realize that there's going to be a light at the end of the rainbow. You know what I mean? And music will keep you connected to everybody else through the art form of music. You know?
I hope it, you know, one benefit that does happen from this is for people to gain more appreciation and respect for live musicians, and that they will come out and turn out for the gigs more than they did before, and not balk at the, you know, if it's $15 at the door, if it's 25, whatever it is, you know, be glad to pay for it, because, you know, we can survive, you know, you can look at the artwork on your wall, you can drink out of your mugs, whatever it may be, but you can't experience live music virtually. You don't, it's just not the same, unfortunately. So yeah, I hope you know, respect and appreciation will be gained as a result of this.
Yeah, I hope they do come out. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Fran, what have you been up to?
Well, you know, it's really, yeah, it's a time for writing.
Mhm.
And that's kind of it for me. But, you know, it's just interesting to have to, like, when you can't perform and when you don't have a choice, you have to be at home, and you have to sort of turn inward. And also try to remember things that you've forgotten about, which is other types of sounds. Like, even, you know, I feel like I'm appreciating different types of natural sounds that I wasn't attuned to before. So that's always interesting, just to see how our perceptions are changing in this time of isolation. But yeah, no, I'm to be honest, I think it's dreadful. I think this whole situation is dreadful. I know that there's a lot of positive talk about potential outcomes of this thing. But in the meantime, I do feel that my need for seeing live music is being very challenged. Yeah.
It's just to add on to that too. I think the business of the music industry. I mean, we get clobbered left, right, and center every year. It gets tougher, anyways. But so the profession gets clobbered, but musicians are a resilient bunch of mofos, and you just can't keep these artists down. We're going to keep producing and writing, and almost like the tougher times get, the more we're going to dig in. And if we can't go to a festival, or if a festival is not allowed to have a gate with a bunch of people standing shoulder to shoulder, we're already conspiring to figure out how to put on our own event. And if we got to stand 6 feet, if we need a stage that's 400 feet long or whatever it takes, that's just a problem to be solved. End of, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're going to figure it out. And for the love of God, like, ever since this broke out, like, I got to give the hugest shout out to artists of all kinds, especially musicians. Like, the airwaves, the support group for this entire thing is finding our musical artists holding space for us all, and giving us opportunities to not be alone and to share songs. Like, I've got as many musical outlets on a Thursday at 6 p.m. Oh, the Rivley's hosting something, and Canada Live is hosting something. And, there's a show from Austin, and Steve Poltz is going to be on. I'm actually having to switch between concerts that are going on. Anyways, the musicians aren't going anywhere. We're just going to have to figure out the way that how what our vehicle is going to be.
Well, creative people, we are the ones to survive through anything. We adapt. Creativity is a survival instinct in a way. And, what you said, Drew, thanks to the artists. And everyone's turning to music, they're turning to movies, they're reading more, and it's all things that have been created by artists. And a lot of people like to deem art as unimportant, and that's the first thing to be cut in schools is the art programs. And I hope that this changes because, again, appreciation and respect that, yes, we do need art because that's what everyone is turning to in this stressful time. And even when it's not during this kind of time, when people are sad, what do they turn to? They turn to music. They turn to art. And I really hope that there's emphasis put on that and on the importance of the arts communities and supporting it on a larger level.
Well, it'd be really interesting to see in terms of like, if you look at history, yes, it absolutely has always been the artists who have been, again, observing, taking a back seat, watching everything go down, trying to figure out what the human response is, interpreting that human response. And I'll be very curious to see really what comes out of this whole COVID thing artistically, to see how artists and musicians have interpreted this time. And I think that's where we're going to get our most authentic interpretation of this time is through artists. So that I'm excited about.
Mm.
I'd like to turn to what musicians do best. And let's get a little ditty from each and every one of you. Who would like to start?
I'll go. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
I brought my guitar. Well, I'll play a song of mine. It's a tale. It's a tale about the fear of getting swallowed up by folks that would rather consume you than build you back up. Let's put it there. Can you hear that guitar a little bit? Is it coming through?
Yep.
Yes, ladies and gents, that was a super session. So nice to pull it off, as it were. Not to mention, all of your fans, they still love you, and why shouldn't they? You drove them home. From their dates in the teens and the rock and roll. Up the boys. Yeah, from their dates in the teens and the rock and roll. Love the boys. So next time you open the door, you better see who's opening the keys. Junkies rolling in, you better watch your see it's time to poop. Me and those flat funk flunkies, well, we don't always see eye to eye. Because the truth is alright, and those beggars, they still know how to lie. I said the truth is alright, and those beggars, they still know how to lie. It goes like this, it goes. I haven't played this many bar chords on an acoustic guitar, and I think my arm's gonna fall off. So next time that you got a car, let's hit the other side of town. You'll see Marvin in a finest a party down on Ocean Park Lane. The chicks in the train, you know those 5 and dime queens sure can dance. I think those borrowed girls would still give their hearts if we just gave them a chance. I think we want a chance. So don't try to jive me, because I know you still gotta go. In advance, we can go for a ride. Down an Ocean Park Lane, get laid and watch the sunrise. We'll take you down an Ocean Park Lane, get laid and watch the sunrise. Aw, here we go, don't be slow, it goes. Hey, watch where you're going.
Nice.
Thanks.
That was good.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thanks for that.
With pleasure.
Lovely, Drew. Thank you.
My pleasure.
All right. Well, as you know, I don't have a lot of clean stuff.
Oh, I told you we don't want clean.
No, I know, but I'm online. One thing if people are in a theater, it's another thing when they're online. So I chose just a kind of a little poem, and I thought that since we were talking about art and music, that I would choose a piece that has to do with me being an artist. So this is about a date that I planned for someone. Now, is this washboard too loud?
That's good.
Good?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's sort of more like a spoken word piece rather than a song. I was wantonly wishful in hot pursuit, but his super sexy ways made me feel like a prude. I wanted to impress him, so I thought of something good. Wild body painting that would happen in the nude. 10 by 10 canvas and lots of store paint. Afternoon booked for our 3 minutes, but daylight makes me nervous and so shy. Would he come to like me, even in the sunshine? Work it, baby, work it, baby, work it, baby, work it, baby, work it. In my imagination, it was all planned out. We'd create something beautiful, have sex throughout. It didn't go down like I thought it would. Turns out store-bought paint don't come out so good. Lots of bright sunshine in the afternoon, so I quickly grabbed some paint to cover up my boobs. Titillating no, he just looked at me weird. I laughed nervously and said, "Have no fear," which made things even weirder. Work it, baby, work it, baby, work it, baby, work it, baby, work it. He thought sliding on the canvas was kinda fun. I felt hopeful till I landed on my bum. It bad, but I had to pretend that I was okay if I wanted to get shagged. Covered in paint from head to toe. Time to take a shower. I felt the potential. Discovered then that the paint would not come off. Whoops, a daisy. Didn't think about that part. Stupid art. F this lady, this is effing crazy. F this lady, this is effing crazy. For the next 3 hours, we scrubbed ourselves raw. He was late for work and really pissed off. There was no sex. What a nightmare. Such bad karma. So unfair. Such bad karma. So unfair. Such bad karma. So unfair. That's my little art and music.
Love it. Love it. That was great.
Oh, so cool. I'll do a tune. I'm trying to figure out what tune to do. I'll just do this tune. It's just a little bit of blues in the jazz form.
That's the one I was hoping for.
I love you. You treat me oh so mean. I love you. You treat me oh so mean. Well, you put your hands in my pocket, leave me the blue in my lonely dreams. Nothing I wouldn't do for you, lady. Nothing that I wouldn't do. Nothing I wouldn't do for you, my sweet lady. Nothing that I wouldn't do. All you find hard rocks lead just to prove that I love you. You know hard, but I cannot see. The one right, whatever will be, will be. You know I learned my lesson. I'm so hard in school. Come on, lady, I said now I'm no fool. You're treating me. You treat me oh so mean. Put your hands in my pocket. Leave me the blue in my lonely dream. Play a little bit now. Love you. You treat me oh so mean. I love you. You treat me oh so mean. Put your hands in pockets. Leave me the blue in my lonely dream. The guitar a little bit of tune on that. But anyways, yeah, thanks. That's what
Beauty.
So good, Brooke.
Thanks.
Thunder.
It was interesting as soon as he finished, this big, huge gust of wind came in.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
That was so cool.
Well, thanks so much, guys, for being here today. So if
Thanks
people,
for having me. I appreciate it.
yeah, if people want to know about you or how to get in touch with you, how do they do that? Brooke, follow you.
Yeah, they can contact me at ethniccollective.com or blackburnbrothersmusic.com, and hopefully we'll be at a festival near you. You know what I mean? Hopefully, I don't know what's going to happen, but you know, there was a lot of festivals supposed to be playing with Speech this year that got canceled or postponed. So there's a lot of I don't know. Other than checking the website, I really don't know when we're going to be touring again. Hopefully soon.
Okay. And Fran, how can people follow you and what you're up to?
They can just look up Franny Wispener Washboard.com.
Drew of all trades.
I've got social media presence on Facebook and Instagram and all that kind of stuff. Amy and I are working as the moon and the sun. That's a forward focus these days. and we're just building up some content there and trying to figure out how we're going to adapt to the changing times. As you can find us there.
Drew, I'm just wondering where your video is being posted. The video you just did.
Who's that, Fran?
Yeah, you and Amy.
Oh, it's a series called From Home Quarantine Sessions. It's through Chris Cherry Presents. Chris Cherry's a South Georgian Bay music promoter. So I think there's 7 or 8 artists who are putting together 2 songs, and they're doing it in this kind of Zoom or quarantine kind of vibe. So artists are figuring out ways to collaborate to suit the day. So we just finished the first 2 songs, and it'll be out there somewhere. I'll pass along links as I figure it out. I don't even know where it is actually. It's going out there somewhere.
And to Brooke, to see your live videos, that's through Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram, and then my YouTube's channel, which is Brooke Blackburn. And I'm doing a thing for the North, actually, for the Georgian and the Bruce area. And it's going to be through the travel and tourism, because my family settled there through the Underground Railroad in the 1800s. So I'm up there all the time. And I was Fran earlier that we have the Owen Sound area is the most northern terminus of the Underground Railroad, and that's where my family came from, Kentucky, as runaway slaves and settled in that area. And so I'm doing something for travel and tourism for the North area, and it's a song called Heroes, and it's going to be, I've done a video for it already, which is on, but they're revamping the video and presenting it on there. I'm going to be doing 2 songs, that one and another song I wrote, Good Morning, and that's basically about how the world is finally, starting to heal a little bit from all of us driving so much, not polluting the air so much. And it's been quite a thing for the earth. So I wrote a song about that called Good Morning, and how that when we do get back, maybe we won't use, won't think about the earth as just a playground to do whatever we want, but actually respect the earth a little bit. Hopefully, who knows?
Well done.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, well, thanks, guys. Thanks for sharing your musical talents with us, and hope to see you performing live soon. And
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for hosting, Sarah. It's a great venue.
Well, thanks.
It was nice meeting you. Bye.
Thank you, Sarah.
Okay, thanks, guys. Stay safe.